Locations: battlefield. Once the witch had lifted the curse, the mist dissipated and the spectres of the fallen vanished into the beyond. Vergen. Despite demonstrating unparalleled valor, the hastily recruited units of peasant militiamen, knights without title or estate, and scoia'tael guerrillas could not withstand Henselt's army of experienced, battle-hardened Cadwani veterans. Vergen fell after mounting a heroic defense, though the victory cost the attackers dearly. Forest ravines. Wooded gullies scarred the land between Vergen and King Henselt's camp. Innumerable monsters, including trolls, inhabited these ravines, so they were not exactly ideal places to picnic. For the traveller following the gullies would be relatively hidden from prying eyes, a fact which, as you will learn, Geralt took full advantage of. Characters: Dandelion. When Geralt and Roche headed for Loch Muin to meet their destiny, I had little desire to sit in Henselt's camp. Despite their victory, the Cadwani's mood was as sour as milk in the udders of a dead cow. Therefore I packed up, resolving to reach Loch Muin in time to witness the important events that were transpiring there. This was not to be, however, as Geralt's arrival accelerated events as usual. Thus I know the rest of the story only from the accounts of others, yet I present it here as faithfully as possible. Anything omitted was surely not worth a mention in the first place. Vernon Roche. Roche was behind the conspiracy against Henselt. The plan to weaken the Cadwani ruler's position had been formed back when Philter was still alive, and Vernon was one of its architects. It placed him in a very risky position, but the captain of the Temeria's special forces kept his cool. After this conspiracy was revealed and his men massacred by Henselt, there was no turning back for Vernon. He had become a wanted criminal in Cadwan. He decided to settle the score with Dethmold and Henselt no matter the cost, yet he did not forget his primary goal. When fate placed the king of Cadwan in his hands, Vernon used them to kill Henselt. Thus he demonstrated the weight of his threats and the distance he would go in order to settle his scores. The Blue Stripes captain wanted to settle scores with the Kingslayer and Dethmold. Thus he left with Geralt for Loch Muin to close the final chapter of the story. Kingslayer. The magic sent Geralt a vision and gave us another bit of information. Letho had been in the area earlier and had ordered his accomplices to assassinate King Henselt. The Kingslayers had been working with Síle de Tansarville, but just as with Yorveth, their paths diverged. Whatever finale would conclude the story, Letho claimed it would take place in Loch Muin. Zoltan Chivay. After the fall of Vergen, the roads were flooded with refugees. On one such road outside Henselt's camp, I met Zoltan, who had luckily managed to flee safely. It is hard to remember the last time I was as happy as when I saw his bearded face. Zoltan and I kept each other company during the journey, and we reached safety together, but that is a different story altogether. Síle de Tansarville. The sorceress helped repel the attackers, once again proving that her powers should not be underestimated. The posthumous examination of the would-be assassin's memory revealed something shocking. Síle had been directly involved in at least one ruler's death. Things were getting increasingly complicated. Unfortunately, the sorceress had already managed to flee the camp. The interests of the sorceress and the assassins were no longer the same. It appears that the Tansarville began to cover her tracks, beginning with the elimination of her former allies. Following the sorceress was no easy task. The Koviri fled to Loch Muin, always one step ahead of Geralt. Serrit. The vision of Auckes' memories lifted the veil of secrecy surrounding the other Kingslayer. Serrit had also been acting on Letho's orders, and all three had been behind the deaths of Foltest and Demavend, as well as the attempt on Henselt. Serrit could certainly answer more questions, and Geralt knew where to find him. Unfortunately, Síle found the assassin first. With his dying words, however, he confirmed the Tansarville's complicity in their conspiracy, as well as the fact that he knew Geralt. Serrit died before saying anything more, leaving the mystery unsolved. Auckes. The assassin's identity was revealed only after his death. The accomplice of Letho and Serrit felt Geralt's hand, but his memories provided very important information. The Kingslayers responsible for the death of Foltest and Demavend, as well as the attempt on Henselt, had played a game on their own, in which both Síle and Yorveth had been pawns. Furthermore, it seemed that they and Geralt shared a common past. Henselt. Cadwan's king had been terribly cursed by the sorceress Sabrina Glevissig, whom he had condemned to death. Thanks to the witch, the curse plaguing Henselt was lifting. The king breathed a sigh of relief and returned to realizing his plans with redoubled energy. Apart from invading Ada, these probably included killing Stannis, hanging all non-humans, and plowing Saskia, not necessarily in that order. Henselt revealed the entirety of his rotten character when he had Roche's men murdered and personally defiled Ves, and this way he gained a mortal enemy in the form of Vernon Roche. The king of Gadwall satiated his ambitions. He led a victorious assault on Vergen and strengthened his kingdom. Henselt made a mistake in underestimating the determination of the Blue Stripes captain to avenge his men. Thus ended the line of Gadwall rulers bearing the unicorn on the seal. Dethmold. The sorcerer believed that the ends justified the means and thought nothing of the ethical ban of necromancy. The sorcerer was Henselt's creature in full, a lackey who served his master in any way possible. This included tracking real and imagined spies and thwarting conspiracies on the monarch's life. He was also among those chiefly responsible for the deaths of Vernon's men, whose grisly demise Henselt himself had ordered. Dethmold fled, unwilling to risk a clash with the Witcher. It proved a sound decision which brought him a bit more time in his life. Saskia. News had already reached us of the heroic Saskia, the woman who held Gadwall's armies at bay. At the time, however, it all seemed like little more than exaggerated rumors. As with any true hero, there were many incredible tales about Saskia. Some claimed she was invulnerable to fire and had thus survived the terrible battle when Sabrina had rained the very flames of hell down upon the combatants. The girl was also famous for killing a dragon. One would be hard-pressed to find better material for a local hero. Once victory was out of reach and defeat inevitable, Saskia fled to Lochmuin with Philter's help. Sabrina Glevissig. It cost Geralt a great deal of sweat, but he finally found a solution to the problem. Sabrina's spirit finally found solace, and the curse she had placed on Henselt was lifted. Alchemy. Gadwall. Gadwall helps a witch's mutated body regenerate much faster than usual. No wonder witches often consume it when preparing to fight especially powerful beasts. Gadwall is a stronger version of the swallow potion. As Gadwall courses through their veins, however, it burdens a witch's body, causing him to deal less damage and lose vigor in an accelerated rate. These side effects can be reduced by drinking the Rook and Tonial potions. Potion significantly increases toxicity when imbibed. Gadwall is recommended before long fights. Its slow but constant regeneration of vitality provides its user vision advantage over opponents. Lapwing. Just as Gadwall regenerates vitality slowly but consistently, Lapwing restores vigor. The potion's effect is stronger than that of Tonial, but it produces some side effects. Lapwing intensely weakens the body, reducing the witch's vitality and resistances. To strengthen themselves, witches take golden aureole and swallow together with Lapwing. Potion causes serious intoxication when imbibed. The potion is mainly used by witches who specialize in casting signs in combat and by those preparing to fight monsters that perform strong attacks which must be parried. Maribor Forest. Maribor Forest considerably boosts vigor. After consuming it, the witcher tirelessly parries blows and can cast many signs in a row. It is, however, a devastating brew that causes minor twitching. It reduces vitality and the accuracy of special attacks, such as causing poisoning, incineration, or bleeding. Its side effects can be alleviated by consuming the Wolf and Swallow potions. The potion causes serious intoxication when imbibed. This potion is used by witches who specialize in casting signs and by those preparing to fight monsters with strong attacks that must be parried. Stammelford's Philter. Created by Howard Stammelford, a famous member of the First Conclave, this brew is readily used by witches who rely on magic, since it augments the intensity of signs, the damage done by the igni, the impact of the art, the defenses of the Quen, and so on. Unfortunately, the potion taps the witch's vitality for its power, thus reducing it. Witches compensate for this loss by consuming the Swallow potion. The potion moderately increases toxicity when imbibed. It is recommended for witches who rely more heavily on magic than on traditional weapons, and before any fight against monsters vulnerable to the special attacks issuing from signs. Thunderbolt. The Thunderbolt potion augments muscle power and thus damage dealt using a sword. As simple as it is effective, the brew is a more powerful version of the Rook potion. Unfortunately, Thunderbolt may cause weaker muscle fibers to rupture, decreasing both vitality and its regeneration. The side effects can be alleviated by taking Swallow potion. The potion significantly increases toxicity when imbibed. This potion is recommended before fighting particularly resilient or heavily armored monsters. Tiara. The singular potion affects the witch's skeleton, hardening bones and strengthening tendons. Each time the witcher parries an opponent's blow while under the potion's influence, he loses less vigor than he would had he not consumed a dose of Tiara. The catch, however, is that stronger bones and joints denote stiffer limbs and weaker soft tissue. The witcher strikes with less confidence, so the sword damage he deals is reduced. His vitality also declines. Potion causes serious intoxication when imbibed. The potion is recommended for witches who rely more heavily on their swords than on magic, and before fights against monsters that employ strong attacks which must be parried. Virga. Virga is favored by witches who assign greater importance to safety than to mounting bold attacks. The brew increases the witch's resistances, rendering him less vulnerable to the special attacks of monsters, including poisoning, incineration, and bleeding. Virga is stronger than Glossary, but it has some side effects. When focusing on defense, the witcher is limited in his ability to execute subtle attacks. The witcher thus cannot employ tactics to which he himself has become more resistant, be it poisoning, incineration, or oils that increase bleeding. The wolf potion can be used to limit this unwanted side effect. Potion moderately increases toxicity when consumed. This potion is recommended before fights against monsters that employ powerful special attacks. It is effective against creatures which cause bleeding, are venomous, or breathe fire. I'll keep that in mind. Whirl. Whirl is a highly universal oil. Universal oil. Applied to a blade, it increases damage dealt to foes regardless of the type. Witches, however, generally prefer to use blade coatings designed for specific opponents, as they are more effective. Whirl is recommended for situations where the identity of the possible foe or foes is unknown. White Raffard's Decoction. Invented by a famous mage, this potion helps the witcher survive wounds that would normally be lethal to him. The buzz from this powerful brew, however, adversely affects coordination. After consuming it, although he is fortified, the witcher deals reduced damage for a short time. The side effect can be alleviated by drinking the rook potion. This potion very significantly increases toxicity when imbibed. It should be consumed before fights that could prove particularly difficult. Hangman's Venom. Hangman's Venom is a toxin that is equally lethal to humans, elves, and dwarves. Applied to a blade, it deals more damage than any other coating. This oil is ineffective against monsters. Brock. Brock helps the witcher focus. It increases the effectiveness of all strikes designed to cause one of the many critical effects in the witcher's arsenal: poisoning, bleeding, incineration, and the like. Such close concentration, however, weakens the witcher's defenses. Intent on dealing damage to his foes, the user becomes susceptible to their attacks as his resistances decline. This loss can be counterbalanced by the Glossary potion. The potion increases toxicity very markedly when imbibed. Brock is recommended in situations where the witcher has applied an oil to his blade or has specialized in combat, employing an additional effect like incineration. Arachnid Oil. Arachnid Oil is a universal formula that is effective against any creature susceptible to poison. Simply apply to a blade, wound your opponent, and wait for the poison to take effect. The oil is ineffective against creatures resistant to poisons. What? Producing portals oils. What oil? Oil? Salad oil? Or Glossary. Other. Wild Hunt. What is the Wild Hunt in reality? A cavalcade of riders from a world dominated by elves, riders able to travel between different dimensions. The so-called wraiths are these elven warriors' spiritual emanations. They serve a powerful race and even more powerful individuals whose knowledge of magic and skills in this domain far exceed those of the human and elven mages of our world.